Hello, screenwriters, and welcome to Writing for Screens, the screenwriting step-by-step project, episode 221. My name is Glenn Gers, and I come to you every Monday through Friday, if I can make it, at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time Zone, to let you look over my shoulder, share my screen as I write a script. I am doing this in order to teach a part of screenwriting that I think is under-taught, which is the process, the actual day-by-day, step-by-step, line-by-line process that everyone has to go through to write a script. I'm not trying to tell you how to write the best script ever or the script that's going to sell. I'm just going to say you can't write the best script ever if you can't get the script written. And nobody seems to talk about what it takes to actually put together an outline and scenes and then get a rough draft and polish it into a fine draft. And all of that stuff is honestly very, very basic and mechanical. And this is just tips and tricks showing you how I do a walkthrough so that you can take tricks and tips that you find useful and use them yourself in your own process, because everyone has a different process. There is no right process. There is no wrong process. Whatever gets it written in a healthy, productive way, do that. So I am here just letting you watch me write a script because I think it could help. Hi, Jean. Hi, Di. Hi, Maisie. Lurking and sleeping is absolutely fine, especially for those of you in late time zones. For those of you who are watching, you do not have to perhaps don't know this, you do not have to watch all of these. You should not spend 221 hours watching this unless you are also getting your own writing done. If you have a choice between doing your writing and watching me write, do yours. The only things I have to teach you that I think are really essential are here in my channel in the first 3 playlists. You go to my channel, Screenwriting Essentials. Not kidding around about that name. Screenwriting Tools, Skills, and Craft. The Process, Being a Writer. Each one of these videos, just a 10-minute lesson where I try to boil down what I think is useful about these topics. The topic is right there in the thumbnail. Dramatic action, flashbacks, thinking in scenes, genre. Anything that I can think of that you might be able to use as a skill or a tool, that's where it is. This is just me doing that stuff. So if you got a choice, do the others. Do the lesson videos. Watch those. So many people ask me questions that I have answered in those. Watch all of those. There's not that many. Hi, Larry. Okay. So on the other hand, a lot of people seem to give me messages saying that they find this reassuring or helpful to watch me write. So we're going to do that. That is what we are going to do right now. Boom, boom. Okay. I am now polishing the script. I had I had just a rough outline when I started, just a rough idea. I turned it into an outline that took weeks and weeks and weeks. And then I took that outline and I wrote a rough draft, just whatever I could get on the page to make those outline ideas into scenes, into dialogue and action on the page in script format. That's the first step. It's really useful. Now I have to go through that and make it readable, make it flow, make it focus on the characters and their feelings and their ideas. Hello, Nathan. Good to see you. So that is where we are. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I just finished this scene. I am starting a new scene, which means I have to look at it. I have to read it. This strikes me as overly descriptive. Okay, I'm just trimming spare words like here, stares at them. Well, if we've just described objects and she's staring at something, it's going to be at them. We don't need stares at them. Especially with screenwriting, you just try and strip it down as much. Let the eye move fast as possible. Okay, hello Natasha, hello Donna, hello Ray. Good to have all of you here. We are just cleaning up as much as I can. I'm just trying to see if there's any way to make this shorter. Yeah, it's all right. Madeline walks. Not is walking. If possible, change is verbs to active verbs. Notice is walking is a passive state. Walks is actively walking. Hi, Blake. That's a good question. Do I need turns away? Yes, because she's not just turning. It's not that she's. It's not important that she's turning. She is literally turning away. She is getting away from those things. So that actually is psychologically accurate. Yeah. I mean, do I need it? Is it? These are questions of style, of voice, of this is why we write. Because if I write it one way, someone else will write it a different way, and that's all right. This still bothers me. It's just that takes a deep breath is a cliche. It's just I've done it a bunch of times already, and it just feels like a cliche. All right, there we go. Hello, Malika. Yes, so glad you are here. Yay! Um, no size. I'm overwriting. Do you need then? As in, then turns away? She stares, turns away. No, it feels right. It's two things. Yeah. Do I need it? Could I not have it? Yeah, but that feels like that to me, and this is just the sound everybody hears differently. This feels too choppy. And I'm trying not to actually make this move that fast. Venturing. Now here's one. Into the rest of the house. Walks through the house. Empty rooms. But they're not empty. Walks from room to room. There we go. Okay. Um, she starts to. Doesn't is walking imply that it's an ongoing action underway? No more than walks. If she walks, and we here, if the sentence is Madeline walks from room to room. Okay, so Madeline walks from room to room. If we start a sentence, Madeline walks from room to room, we are cutting in. The cut is the beginning of the sentence. I mean, this is not a rule. This is not, this is not a science. There is no mathematical, this is this and this is this. I'm telling you my thoughts as I do things. That doesn't mean you should always do those things or that these things are absolute. It means it's my impression of this particular sentence in this particular script. There is no right or wrong way to do this. If you decide you want to write something that's in a very passive voice, if Madeline is walking from room to room, do it. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just doing what I believe reads best for a script. Not the best writing in the world. Just people who read scripts are watching the thing happen in their mind in the moment. It's everything I do when I'm writing is generally to try to either make it feel like they forget that they're reading a script and they're seeing this thing actually happen, not a movie, or I'm talking to them in my voice directly, like a storyteller. Those are generally my two main modes of word smithery. Is walking would be more like cutting in on going back? I don't see that. I see it as if I say Madeline walks from room to room, that we're going to start on an image of her walking from room to room. But it doesn't matter because there is no cut. God knows, for all we know, the director is going to start on the hallway and have her walk in. It's what's more, it's not important. Any two directors would do it differently. None of this matters. What matters is that I keep the audience feeling like things are happening and they're involved in what is Madeline going to do? What is she going to do with this problem she's faced with of this house that she has inherited? So I want it personally to read as much of just involved in the action and the details of her experience. Is it right? No. Is it wrong? No. That's all. Yeah. I have that quite a bit in my screenplay. Anyway. It's normal when a character feels a little flat, like without emotions in outline. I'm not sure what that, like, is that normal like screenwriting should be? No, but I don't think that that's the case here. If that's the case, let me know. I don't think that this is flat. I think it's quite emotional. It's just I'm trying to personally keep it simple in terms of how many words I use if possible. It's really interesting when I read scripts, especially non-professional scripts, how many extra words, and it's like wading through deeper water. It's harder to walk, it's harder to move. So I have just come to the place where if I want to spare some extra words, it's because I'm trying to weight, like to give something weight, to give it some texture or something. But what I have discovered is you would be amazed how many words you can make more active or cut. So that is what I mean. I don't think of this as flat in outline. I think like this is, to me, this is an action. This is as active and dramatic as you need to be. She's walking from room to room, turning on lights. I can imagine that, and it seems the action is sad. The action is lonely. She is isolated in a house that she has inherited. She has a relationship to it. She's turning on the lights because she's trying to get a sense of it. So, yeah. Hesitantly. By the way, none of this is important. The important thing is that I'm trying to suggest, what does a person do when they have inherited their ex's house and they're left all alone there, and your ex has been murdered? You know, I mean, the director and the actors will actually come up with other things. They'll find some trinket that's useful, or some other shot. It'll depend on 1,000 things. I'm trying to get a mood in action. Okay. All those sighs. Yes, indeed. I got to get rid of them sighs. Gotcha. Okay, good. Yes, yes. No, they're not. It is it is both filler overwriting, because I've done it too many times. But the emotion, I believe, generally when somebody takes a deep breath or sighs, they're feeling sad or oppressed or in difficulty. Yay! Just generally, anyone who reads a script. Okay, cool. Anyone who reads scripts a lot wants them to read swiftly. They want a fast read. Remember, they are not reading a work of literature. They are reading a guide to another project, a film project. And the point about a film project is that it is happening in front of you as you watch it. And so you want, as best as you can, to create the illusion in the mind's eye that you are moving like something on a screen. Okay. Tries to sift. Oh. There we go. Yeah, sometimes then is, because it's suggesting this, then that there's a decision, there's a point, not just pa 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 pa. You feel it out. You do it one word at a time, one line at a time. One bedroom apartment in a boring boxy building. Bum, bum, bum. Boring boxy building. I like that. Well-organized books on shelves going up to shelves. Do I need going? Shelves up to the ceiling. There we go. Look at that. File cabinets by a sturdy wooden desk where the selectric should be. Yep. It's dark out because it was getting dark here. And so this is not great. Hi, Matthew. Sits on, well, first of all, sits on a worn sofa. See, I have a picture in my mind of how he's sitting. Not that this, once again, it's not important. You don't want to waste a lot of words, but the point is, sits is very neutral. So if there's, like, I could say slumps, but I don't want slumps because I don't want him to be relaxed. I want him to be edgy. I just think there's too many words to say. What I want to say is he's sitting forward. Sits. image searched. There we go. Photo of Madeline. Boom. Does this matter? Does it matter? No, he doesn't. That's the whole point. Is he doesn't. He's not back. He's hunched, not crouched, because crouched tends to be on your feet, crouching down. Perched, perched. Yeah, leaned forward was on my mind. Thank you. But in fact, I think it's a little boring. Because that's what I wanted to say. He's sitting leaned forward, like sitting on the edge of the sofa. Perches on the worn sofa. Yeah, perches. It's silly, but that's okay. Swigs. See, got rid of is. Laptop open on the cluttered coffee table. Is. No more is. Looking. He swigs. Not his first. And redials a number. No, pick up this. Swigs of bourbon on the rocks, not his first. Okay, here. Also not his first. Yeah. So things like these, not his first, not his first. That is what I said about like a voice to the storyteller's bit to the reader. There's a lot of ways I could have said he has been sitting on this sofa for hours, dialing this number and looking at this picture. On speaker. And then I can just say, okay. How do you go about researching? That is a good question, and let's talk about that briefly. Okay, here's the deal about research. It depends on what you're researching. We in this moment in time, we have amazing research available to every person who has internet access. Go to the library if you have to and use the library computer. But the internet, will give you if you learn about searching, learn about how to search and what exists that is searchable, because it depends on what you're researching. If I'm working on a project that's set in the 1930s and 40s in New York City. Pictures of the 1930s and 40s in New York City is great. You can also just type people's memoirs from New York City in the 1930s and 40s. You can, one of the great things is it depends on what you're researching. If you're researching jobs, there's websites where they tell you exactly what people do for this job. If you are a journalist or you are an editor or you are a street sweeper, there will be stuff about what, first of all, people will write blogs about what that's like. Almost everything you can imagine, people are writing what their life is like. They are also Instagramming it, and we are in a moment where everyone's life is infinitely explored for one reason or another. So that's one thing. If you want to research what a place is like, you can just Google Street View what that town is like. If you're trying to research, it just depends on what you're researching. But the first place you should go is the easiest place, which is right where we are right now. You're already there. You can just go. Libraries have plenty of books already digitized, lots of photographs. I don't know. It depends on what you're researching. People have written articles and books about damn near everything. I'm writing something else, which is about a radio taxi dispatcher in California in the 1980s. So I just, put into search, Los Angeles taxi dispatcher. And you'd be amazed. There's people who have written like what it was like to be a Los Angeles taxi dispatcher. Okay, so the first thing I would say is that. But the main thing is, let me see if I've got this. Okay, it's sort of a, okay. Write first, study after, and that includes research. Don't do all your research first. Start writing your story with whatever instinct you have about the story, about the characters and their problems and what's going on. As you do that, after you've done your writing session, you got some energy left, you want to spend an hour researching, great. Don't do it first. Don't say, oh, I need to research everything in order to begin to think. Does not work that way, because the things that you're going to use in the research are going to be very specific. When you are writing a script especially, you have very little room for research. There's very little room in a script. Like if I were to bother researching what it's like to be a podcaster, which I didn't even bother to do to write this, I just said, okay, podcaster is using podcasting software. That's all I said. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how you do it. I just know that they have it. So I did that. If I needed to know every step of how a podcaster works, and frankly, if I was going to continue this, I would learn more about that. But the main thing is I can give you a strong impression of podcasting without knowing anything about it, because that is how screenwriters have to work. Partly you're working from cliches of the genre you're in, and partly you're working from cliches that we all have of things, like what it's like to be a cop or what it's like to be a cafeteria worker. We have mental images of that already. Use those. You can always then research it and change them and get little details. But you do not want to spend all your time for a script getting the research right. Unless it's like, okay, I am going to get all the details of how you put on scuba equipment for this scene, but honestly, they're not going to show it. So you cannot spend time in your script with that research. The main thing about research is it has to be dramatically, emotionally, and story-wise meaningful, or you can just forget it. Because the other thing is they're going to change it. You're going to research what a certain street corner looks like, and then they're going to shoot in a whole different city. So just don't over-research for scripts. Okay. Well, all these changes bring so much more action to the scene. Thank you. I think so too. Yes. In other words, it's not exactly like that. You do not want to just describe what's there. You only want to describe what the character is interacting with or experiencing, because you just don't have room for more. And the reader doesn't want more. The reader is totally focused on the characters and what they are doing. That is the secret to research and description. Okay. Are screenwriting competitions a good way of getting your... Yeah, I think good... I'm sorry. A good way... Do agents and managers pay attention? Not really. I mean, yes, if you're in... This is like film festivals. There are 4 or 5 film festivals which the industry pays attention to. You know, Tribeca, Sundance, Toronto, a couple of those. Other than that, film festivals are not about, oh, if you say I got into XYZ film festival, agents are going to say, drop everything, I have to read this. Even if you were at Sundance, they're going to be like, let's see, I don't know. So the answer is with competitions, the top 3 or 4, like the Nickel and stuff like that, those, yeah, you'll probably get attention from those. So the answer is it a good way? It's better than not. It's certainly worth trying. I think you'd be crazy not to apply to those things. But just that's like with anything. Your focus should be getting the work done and making the script as good as you can, and then showing it to as many people as you can in all sorts of circumstances. I personally would, if you can afford it, because I know there's entry fees for all these things, if you can afford it, apply to a bunch of stuff, because you never know. Who knows? The only way to find out is to try. Be realistic about the fact that your odds are poor. There's just a lot of people doing this. And so the odds of you getting even into semifinal or quarterfinal or whatever, that's great. That's great if you could do that. If you don't beat yourself up about it. Getting attention, many people will know that I did an how to get an agent video. And I would urge you to look at that, because that's my real opinion on this stuff. I will also say that there is, hold on. Let's see. Screenwriting Life podcast episode with Lisanne Sartor. Okay. Boop. Boop. Let's get this going. There we go. Okay. The Screenwriting Life podcast is a great podcast. I urge you to listen to it. There is one episode. Look through the thing, the list of episodes. One of them has a guest, Lisanne Sartor, who's a friend of mine. She runs, among other people, runs a competition called Cinestory, which is very, very good. But the main thing is, in her episode, she lays out what you can and can't expect or should look for in trying to apply to competitions, but also to residencies and schools. Just in general, what can you do to get involved with institutions that may be helpful? So I urge you to check that out. She's very smart. She's researched a lot of this. She's done a lot of it. She knows about it all. And I urge you to look into that. The guy who wrote Showgirls said he did a lot of research. Are you trolling me, Matthew? Okay, yes. The guy who wrote Showgirls, Joe Esterhaus, of course he did a lot of research. He wanted to hang around with Showgirls in Vegas. First of all, that was in the 80s or early 90s. I can't even remember when Showgirls was. Second of all, yeah, he did a lot of research. That's fine. Showgirls is a relatively crappy movie, and certainly did not, although I am sure there are some details that are well researched, I do not believe the value of Showgirls is that we are getting an authentic view into the research of of the reality of showgirling. However, always, that's. There is a movie which is beautifully researched and really well done, which is Always, Sometimes, Rarely, Never. I am not sure if this is the title. But I'm going to guess it's pretty close to the title. Okay. Anyway, this is a movie about two girls who are they're going from a small town in, I think, Pennsylvania or Jersey to New York City for an abortion for one of them, and it's fascinating the detail and the time spent on the realistic, apparently realistic, I do not know, but my impression was that this was well researched and researched exactly in the way I'm talking about, which is the purpose of research is to give the experience of the characters depth, texture, and meaning. There is a point to this research. It's not just like, hey, this is, look, I did research. The point is, I want this story to tell people what it is like to do this thing that is much discussed, but not necessarily well known what it is like. And it's a beautiful and powerful, fabulous indie film that I really, really highly recommend. Double check me on the title if I could be wrong about it, but damn, it was good. All right. Also, the Bear. There's a TV show right now that feels well. Is it? I mean, they all do research, but The Bear is about working in a restaurant, and it seems it's textury. Okay. Is it really important? No, absolutely. Yeah, no. Research is ridiculously unimportant. The only reason that research would be important is if you are making the claim that it is accurate. And frankly, no one in their right mind would do that. And certainly, I guarantee you, nobody ever claimed that the point of Ocean's 11 was that it was factually accurate to what it would be like to rob a Las Vegas casino. That's just silly. All right. This is disturbing, but it wouldn't surprise me. Okay. Yeah. Najo saying that she read a video where a competition judge basically said that there's like some extra layer of fee, and if you don't pay that, you get shoved to the side. It wouldn't surprise me. Do remember all of these competitions and contests and everything. If they have layers of payment and if you can get coverage, first of all, I mean, I personally believe don't get coverage because who needs it? Professional paid coverage pisses me off and creeps me out. I understand it is a business, but you're not talking. I mean, even the coverage within the industry among professionals is kind of bullshit. I mean, it's just a matter of opinion, and it's a matter of the specific needs of that specific company at that specific time. So to say, like this is coverage, like I am giving you the definitive, value system, that's just not true. And it makes me mad. So there. Thank you, Najo. Yeah, I do not know this landscape. I am not involved in it. I do not engage in it. I can only tell you, research it. That's where your research should go. Learn, go on the internet, see, like, are people saying, hey, look at the statistics on this. There's 2,000 people and only one of them gets, a prize. So your odds are 2,001, whatever. I don't know. Okay, what is the same rule? Wazy, you're still awake. What is the rule for writing without knowing all the craft rules of writing it? First of all, forget the technical stuff. That is a great question because the answer is don't ever worry about the technical stuff at all. The technical stuff of filmmaking doesn't matter. The story, the characters, what they are going through, that matters. Everyone else will figure out the technical stuff for you. So when it comes to technical stuff like cutting and moving the camera and all that stuff, don't even think about it. Think about what's happening to the people in the moment. Read a bunch of scripts. If you read a lot of scripts, that is all the craft you need. That is all the craft you ever need. However, if you want the rules of format, which is all you need, I did a video called Script Format. You can also check out other people's, tons of people have done this. It's not a big deal. Script format is very, very simple. as you are watching me do this, there's only a few things. You need these dumb slug lines. I talk about that. You need this description. Then you need the dialogue. And the dialogue has character names. And that's really it. That's the whole thing. That's all you need. That's everything. Now you know everything you need to know about script writing, except the most important thing, which is telling the story and caring about the characters. And that's what I urge you to think about, because the what they are reading for is the story, the storytelling. That is what we care about when we read. I agree, actually. I think that it is fun. The only important thing to remember is it's fun. It's not right or wrong. I am meticulously editing this. Tomorrow I could meticulously change it, okay? Because honestly, that's what happens. You just go over it and over it, and one day something seems too short, and the next day it seems too long, and it's just... You just sort of it's a feeling. It is just a feeling. Yes, the Screenwriting Life podcast is awesome. Nathan is still brainstorming, but as soon as I sell a good starting point, it shifts on me. Yes, and I can say the answer is simple. Just do it. Just pick one and go. You can always change it. Okay, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong, because that is part of the writing process. In other words, if you start and you say, "Oh, I'm going to start with this character," and it's going to be right when he falls into the bathtub and can't get out. Okay, cool. So an hour, a month later, you are writing. You go, "Oh, you know what? I need to start with his mother and his birth." So you go back and you put a scene before that. Do it. It doesn't matter. It's fine. You only can know these things by trying them out, by exploring them, by sometimes writing a whole draft and then going, now that I see it, I recognize that this is too slow and that's too short. That's what you do. So the answer is do it. Plunge in. Get things sketched in. You can always change them. That is my thought on that, Nathan. Never, rarely, sometimes, always. Yes, could be. Like I said, I'm not sure. Okay, hold on. Now you've done it. Now I have to research. Now I have to go on to IMDb. Never, rarely. Okay, yeah, never, rarely, sometimes, always. Fine, I got it backwards. There we go. Okay, the answer is indeed never, rarely, sometimes, always. That is the title I was trying to tell you about when I said always, sometimes, rarely, never, which is the same words in the opposite order. And so therefore, okay. It remains worth watching no matter what order I put the title in. Do you have a practical tips on pacing? That's a good question. That's a hard question. Practical tips on pacing are A, read a lot of scripts and watch a lot of movies or shows, because then you absorb pacing. The pacing is an instinct. It is a feeling. And frankly, everyone's is different. But the way that you learn pacing is mostly by, first of all, watching a lot of stuff and watching it a couple times and breaking it down using my famous Take Art Apart video, because I talk about this, but it's not just enough to watch something. Watch it until you are not swept away in it, where you can stop and say, oh, wow, that scene's very short. Look, there's only 4 lines to that scene. Oh, look, this scene, they took several steps to get that. You need to actually stop. You have to watch it enough times to become analytical, critical, mechanical about it. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you have to read scripts, ideally read scripts of things that you have watched, to see how that pacing of the experience of watching something translates into the pacing on the page. And then the next thing you have to do is just read a lot of scripts, because there is a good pace for good scripts and you'll get to feel it. There is no other practical tip I have, because you're watching me do this and I'm saying like this. I just made this really long by putting these two paragraphs together. Boom. Got rid of some clutter. So like this is a pace thing, actually. If I put this back here, that is a big hunk of words. I know in regular fiction, 5 lines is not a big hunk of words, but in a script, it's a lot of words. So I actually am going to undo it, even though it means it's a little more. But this weirdly is easier to read than this. Also, essentially, this is him, his position, and then this is his action. So by separating them, I'm kind of helping you move through the script. I have a fear of the comma. Not unjustified. We should all fear the comma. We should all fear using anything too much. However, you can learn to love the comma. The comma can be good. The comma is one of many tools, and it is just a tool. The great thing about it is that it gives you, like, in this case, I am putting a couple of different ideas together, joined by commas. He is perching on the sofa, laptop open on the coffee table. If I did not put the comma there, we would not be able to recognize perching is one thing, laptop is another thing. It's a mental divider. Okay. Seth Worley has a story clock worksheet that is supposed to help you visualize your story beats so you can see where you should insert something. It should help with pacing. It could help with pacing, but it's hard to say because it's not like there's a particular, here, final draft, actually this thing here. See this thing, this line up here? This line is actually a story beat thing. So you can see like this line is very long. Then this line is very short. So this, see these little like bars between the white bits? The white bits are the scenes. So you can get a sense of, oh, I have 3 long scenes here, and then I have a bunch of little scenes, and then I have a long scene, and then I have a long... So yeah, but the problem is there's no actual right or wrong about how many short scenes or long scenes you should have. So therefore, the story clock worksheet is, as you know, Blake, going to be on my list of things that are, you know, if it helps you, that's great. But you're taking someone else's formula and you're saying, oh, this is actually right. Like my story needs to have this thing. And if you know, this pace, and then watch somebody else's story, you know, if you watch Star Wars and if you watch Boogie Nights, they have different paces because they're different stories told by different storytellers. And therefore you can't say, oh, this is the right pace, boom, 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 boom. Oh, this is a long pace. We're taking a long time on these scenes. There isn't a right or wrong pace. So therefore, a story clock worksheet only helps if you have values of your own. Otherwise, you're just borrowing values, and that is always bad. If you are just saying, oh, I'm just going to take the standard rule and apply it, you are taking one of your tools and giving it away, throwing it away. I am not a fan. Is there a certain... Yeah. I would like to see more stuff done about the immediate aftermath of World War II. January 6th, 2020. Yeah, there's another one. Although, you know, that one, I'm not... it would have to be a damn good film. Otherwise, I would be pissed that it was messing with things. Oreno is saying, talking to Nathan about when he can't seem to get Nathan can't seem to get his structure together. Um, enough good parts have settled together into indispensable chunks so that everything is near. This is exactly right. This is a completely correct observation. You haven't found a thing that you're like, this is so important that everything else gets organized around it. And you get a bunch of those. You get like, oh, I know now that this character's eventual refusal to cry is central to the story. And then that becomes, okay, now I know what other things are. The solution is to start connecting things so less is up in the air. Eventually things won't feel changeable because you'll have a pretty good idea of what you're going to do and anything it won't do. That is correct. And you are welcome. Yeah. Generally, it depends. Sometimes you want to slow things and you want to stop the story by going extra lines. But in general, current fashion of scripts is 4 lines is a hefty paragraph in scripts. Okay. Sentences in fiction, no matter how beautiful, if too long, can slog the story down. I think modern takes into account that our modern minds don't focus for that. I think that is true, except, too long, but good long sentence is a thing of beauty. It depends. It also depends on what audience you want. If you want the Henry James audience, then those big long sentences is going to be good. However, overall, you're right. Modern fiction, contemporary fiction, moving along is good. Short sentences is not a bad thing. Good pacing is rooted in good structure. Well, can't argue with that. That is true. Okay, you know what? We are devolving into a farewell. So I am just going to say, the next 2 days, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, for those of you who are living it up here and not watching this 6 months from now on video, in which case this will not matter at all, but I'm not going to be here. I have appointments and obligations, which mean, unfortunately, I could not get out of the afternoon appointments. So therefore, I will be back Thursday of this week. I hope and believe. Okay. So in the meantime, Alia, you go and go write something.